Greetings! My lecture today is called the Dali Lama, a common thief priest. In Memphis, Tennessee, one of our morning radio personalities by the name of Bobby O.J. mentioned about the Dali Lama on black radio station WDIA in Memphis. Bobby O.J. said, what is it that the Dali Lama does? Bobby O.J. did not understand, and most people in America, if you walk up to the average person in America and you ask, what does the Dali Lama do? Most people could not tell you. Certainly African Americans could not tell you what the Dali Lama does. Now, I am a Nichiren Buddhist, and I have been practicing Buddhism for 45 years. In my opinion, as president and founder of the Proud Black Buddhist World Association, the Dalai Lama is a common thief priest. Although he is a recipient of a Nobel Peace Prize, and so often the Dalai Lama is associated with Dr. Martin Luther King, I say that the Dalai Lama should not even be spoken in the same breath as a Dr. Martin Luther King, because there is no comparison to the work of a Dr. Martin Luther King, who did work to bring equality to all of humanity, and the Dalai Lama, who is a closet racist. Now, we're going to get into this. Now, in 2009, the Dalai Lama came to Memphis, Tennessee, and he was awarded a prize by the Dr. Martin Luther King Foundation in Memphis. And certainly when the Dalai Lama came to Memphis, he, at that time in 2009, had to meet with Memphis mayors. And at the time, our county mayor was A.C. Wharton, who is currently our Memphis city mayor, and there was an interim mayor by the name of Myron Lowry. Now, Myron was the city council chairman of Memphis, and my friend Mayor Harrington had resigned, and with a new election coming up, this is in September of 2009, and the Dalai Lama came to Memphis, Tennessee. Now, at that time in 2009, Barack Obama had just gotten elected, and we saw for the first time the Obama, he and his wife Michelle, did the fist bump. And so what Myron Lowry did, Myron Lowry had read about the Dalai Lama, who they call His Holiness, and Myron Lowry understood him to have a sense of humor. And so what Myron Lowry did, Myron Lowry wanted to do a fist bump, just to show it was cool. This is an African-American expression. And of course, Myron Lowry did a fist bump with the Dalai Lama, and he also made a joke. Back in the day, there was a singer by the name of Louis Armstrong, a black singer, and he had a song called Hello Dolly. He said, hello Dolly, this is Louis Dolly. So Myron Lowry called the Dalai Lama, he just says, hello Dolly, and greeted him with a polite fist bump. And the news went all over the world that the Dalai Lama used that as a political expedient means to embarrass this African-American interim mayor by making him feel bad, by telling him that he was promoting violence by a fist bump. We who are African-American, who now fist bump our president of the United States fist bump, but yet this sucker comes to Memphis, Tennessee, and he's going to make these statements, a fist bump is violent, and he doesn't promote such a thing. But what I say, this sucker was a fake and a fraud in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, I want you to look at a picture. Now, he came to the Civil Rights Museum, and certainly he was honored by the Dr. Martin Luther King Foundation, Civil Rights Foundation in Memphis. And of course, he had to go and pay honor to Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, on the picture, you see my friend, who I've been knowing since I was a kid, Dr. Samuel B. Kiles. Dr. Kiles was with Dr. Martin Luther King on April 4th, 1968, when he got killed. Dr. Kiles came to the Lorraine Motel to pick up Dr. King, and he was with Dr. King when Dr. King got shot. Now, you'll see Dr. Kiles in a picture with the Dali Lama, and you also see Reverend Benjamin Hooks, who was a Memphis judge. He was also head of the FCC and later became head of the NAACP. Now, you could look at this picture of these African Americans with the Dalai Lama, and the picture doesn't favor too well, because the Dalai Lama certainly has this arrogant attitude, and he has an attitude against black people because he was trained to be a racist. Now, we're going to get into this a little later in our lecture to tell you about the Dalai Lama. Now, for example, everybody call him, well, this is His Holiness. But if you are an African American and you learn and know about the Dalai Lama, when it comes to black folk, ain't nothing nice. And it takes an African American to tell you about the Dalai Lama. But there's a Buddhist magazine, and this Buddhist magazine is called the Shambhala. Now, this Shambhala Buddhist magazine, in September of 2011, there was an article in the Shambhala Sun-Times, and it says about Tina Turner. Tina Turner says, I went to a shrine elsewhere in Europe, and I've met His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. Everybody knows I am a practicing Buddhist. Now, one of the things that you should understand about Tina Turner's statement, she says, I met the Dalai Lama. But what Tina Turner did not say, or what Tina Turner did not do, you would notice that there is no image of Tina Turner and the Dalai Lama. Now, that should tell you something, that if the diva, the African American diva Tina Turner, did not take a picture with the Dalai Lama, that says more about the Dalai Lama than it does about Tina Turner. Tina Turner is the most noted Buddhist on planet Earth. Everybody knows that Tina is a practicing Buddha, but as a practicing Buddhist, Tina chose not to take a picture with the Dalai Lama. And let's get into the possibilities as to why Tina did not take a picture with the Dalai Lama. Now, when the Dalai Lama came to the Dr. Martin Luther King Civil Rights Museum, I personally never felt any compassion for the Dalai Lama, because I could not put my finger on it, but it was just something about that was not right. Now, in the Go Show, or the teachings of Nichiren Buddhists, we who are proud black Buddhists, we practice the teachings of the 13th century Japanese sage Nichiren Shonin, who taught that the Lotus Sutra is the highest of the Buddhist teachings, and he taught us that we should follow the teachings of the Lotus Sutra. Now, in regards to the Dalai Lama and his philosophy runs counter to the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha. Now, there is a Go Show, or a writing of Nichiren. It's called Conversation Between a Sage and an Unenlightened Man. Nichiren points us to the words of the Buddha himself and not the words of the Dalai Lama. No high priest, Nichiren points us to, nor does he point us to a Daisaki Kato, who is a big-time Japanese leader. But Nichiren points us Black Buddhists and us Buddhists to the words of the Buddha himself. And Inigo called the conversation between a sage and an unenlightened man, Nichiren writes what Shakyamuni says. Therefore, in the 6th volume of the Nirvana Sutra, his final teachings delivered in a grove of sal trees, our merciful Father, Shakyamuni Buddha, the Lord of the teaching, said, quote, rely on the law and not persons, even when great bodhisattvas such as Universal Worthy and Manjushra men have returned to the stage of near perfect enlightenment, expound the Buddhist teachings. If they do not do so with sutra texts in hand, then one should not heed to them. Now, what Nichiren tells us, that it doesn't matter if one calls himself His Holiness. It does not matter to the Buddha. What the Buddha teaches us to do is put faith in the law and not put faith in persons. Nichiren says if you meet someone, Shakyamuni says, in the stages of near perfect enlightenment, and they're expounding Buddhist teachings, if they don't have the sutra in hand, then we should not heed to them. So it doesn't matter that His Holiness is His Holiness and he is the greatest Buddhist leader in the world. The Buddha himself, Shakyamuni, said we should not listen to him. We should not listen to no high priest. We should not listen to no Daisaki Kato or His Holiness, but we should only listen to the sutra, because this is what the Buddha teaches us. Nichiren encourages us to study. When it comes to the Dalai Lama, a serious red flag is raised. Please understand that the original sin of Buddhism is racism. The Brahmans killed the Black Buddhist and changed the Buddha from black to white. About the 1st century AD, a new Buddhism was born called Mahayana Buddhism, whereas Buddhism became separated by race, language, culture, and history. The Brahmans incorporated the Buddha into the Hindu Pantheon, and a new Buddhism emerged based on race called Hindu Buddhism that was promoted by the Brahmans, or it was called Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism is based on a revisionist history. The new revisionist Buddhist history is taught in Sanskrit. When you study Buddhist teachings based on Sanskrit, you can be sure that the Buddhism purposefully extricates all black history. Such Buddhism is racist because it extricates black history, any mention of Black Buddhists, anything that has something to do with people of African descent or whose skin is dark. The Hindus incorporated the Buddha into the Hindu Pantheon, and Hindus believe in caste or superiority of the Brahmans. Now, the word Lama means guru. The Buddha Shakyamuni teaches us to put faith in the law. We proud Black Buddhists follow the Lotus Sutra. Now, let's get a clear understanding as to who the Dalai Lama is. The Dalai Lama, ladies and gentlemen, is a Brahman. He is a Brahman priest. He promotes the ideas and the philosophy of the Brahmans. The Brahmans promote a sanctioned racism called caste. They believe that you should be in your caste, that the Brahman should be at top, and everybody else come under these Brahmans, and the Dali Lama is a Brahman. Now, I want you to look at a quote. On November the 7th, 2004, the Dali Lama was in South Africa, and this is what he said, quote, Hinduism has a long tradition, and Buddhism draws many practices from the old ancient traditions of India. In many ways, Hinduism and Buddhism are twins, unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, what the Dalai Lama is telling you and what he said in South Africa, because he was excited and understood apartheid in South Africa, and he was there to talk to some of the Brahmins or the races in India who lives in South Africa, and what he said was Hinduism and Buddhism is twins. Now, this is what the Dalai Lama believes. The Dalai Lama believes that Buddhism and Hinduism is twins. It is a twin because the Hindu incorporated the Buddha into the Hindu Pantheon, and they appropriated and stole the Buddhist teachings. Now, so that you understand, Hindus control Buddhism. When you learn about Buddhism, it is from the Hindus who promote Buddhism. And all you see is Hindu images of the Buddha. All you see is white images of the Buddha. You're going to see them in the orange. They keep the Buddha white. The Hindus have the Dalai Lama to promote their teachings. They have the Dalai Lama there as an image as to what a Buddhist look like. So when you listen to the Buddha and you hear the words of the Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama sneaks his orange in, and he has this image himself as a white Buddha. And he talks politics, but his major politics is to teach Brahmanism. It takes a black man like Anthony Elmore to wake you up about the Brahman. The Dalai Lama is a hero to the Hindus. In the eyes of Anthony Elmore, the Dalai Lama is only a common thief priest. I'm going to take you out on my song. It's called The Common Thief Priest. And that is what the Dalai Lama is. How can you call yourself an honest priest when you rob black culture? You're a common thief priest. Honest people teach a history that is accurate. They believe in the true facts of it. Racists believe in making white superior. They do it as a cause of making black inferior. Many people in the world believe they practice Buddhism. In reality, they practice racism. Many of the Buddhists are not so interested in Buddhist history that is right. Many are more interested in giving their Buddha away. Let us go into the history and facts of this. In ancient Indian history, whites did not exist. Do you want to know true history and facts? The Harappan culture of India was all black. In ancient India, let us get the science and history right. They never found any evidence of a white phenotype. In all of ancient India, science shows no evidence of an Aryan phenotype. If all the ancient people are black, how did the Buddha come up white? Those who teach that the Buddha was white, they teach a Buddhism that is not right. These people wear a Buddhist robe, but they slander and neglect. They have no interest in getting the history of the Buddha correct. We call ourselves the proud Black Buddhist sect. We believe in human respect. We believe it is important to get the history of the Buddha correct. Many Japanese and whites have an alliance. They agree to turn their backs on science. DNA of ancient India show only a black phenotype. How in the world did they come up with a Buddha that is white? How can you call yourself an honest priest when you rob black culture? You a common thief, priest. How can you call yourself an honest priest when you rob black culture? You a common thief, priest. Common thief, priest. Common thief, priest. Common thief, priest. Common thief, priest.